Hello everyone, this is Omar from WeLikeEnglish.com, and I've just come home from my long day at work, and I just feel like talking about it actually. So basically, I'm one of these guys who work very long hours, and as I mentioned before, I live in Japan. So in Japan, people work very long hours, usually like well most of the day basically. So I'm from the UK, and in England we work about between 8 to 9 hours a day on average, I presume, unless you work in a very kind of demanding job such as finance or other profession. And for me, what I notice in Japan is that people work between like 15, 16 hours a day, maybe less for other people. Although contract wise, people usually sign a contract, but in Japan, people are obliged or kind of like in a kind of a non-direct or a kind of non-direct is just bad English, sorry, indirect manner, uh, like you're obliged to work long hours, and nobody tells you have to work long hours, but it's kind of almost expected. Although I'm not expected necessarily to work long hours, but I do and have kind of become accustomed to that cultural demand, if that makes sense. And so yeah, like today I started work at around I left my house around 6 and 6:30, and I then went to I got to work, and I usually start to work around 8 anyway, but and I finish usually about 5. But then I also have like a second job which I kind of which kind of supplements my income. But the point is that I work until like, yeah, and then and when I finish that job, I come home around 10 p.m. So it's a pretty long day, and I'm kind of exhausted. But one of the things that I guess is of some use and maybe some value to is that you got to do, I think, in a lot of ways, you got to do something you like, right, in life, right? If you're not good at what you do, then you shouldn't do it. And I've kind of like realized that something that my parents used to always preach to me about was like, when I say preach, like something my parents used to always tell me about and nag to me was that you should always do something you like, and I see that I see why you should do that, because how could you work 16 or 17 hours a day if you didn't like what you did? And I think that's so important. I think for a lot of people who are young, who do work, who are going into the working world, or who's going to decide to do some kind of job, whether it's something that involves using English or not, the thing that I think and I've kind of come to realize is that you just got to do something that you're willing to work 16, 17 hours a day and still feel energized to do more. But you may be physically tired, but mentally you're not stressed about it. It doesn't, like, you like what you do. And I think that's so true. And it's not something that kind of it never really resonated with me. I didn't really kind of get it until I started to do certain kinds of work, and I realized, I'm pretty good at this particular job, and I'm good at doing this kind of activity, and it comes to me very easily. And I think for people who are learning English for whatever their purpose is, make sure that you do a job that you enjoy, because when the job gets demanding, it's gonna stress you out. It's gonna tire you out. And I'm one of these people who teach like a lot of hours. Like I have so many classes, so much planning, so much lesson planning, and so many students to talk to. But I enjoy it, and it's something it's fun for me. And I could do it for a long time. And it's not something that bothers me. It doesn't stress me. But I've seen my life and in my profession that some people don't like teaching. They don't like it. They blame the students for why their teaching skill sucks, when really it's just that they suck. And they decided to do a job because they thought, for a lot of people, they do these kind of work, right? They sign up to these kind of jobs because their parents tell them, it's a safe job. It's something you got to do because it's safe. it's secure and the AI is not going to take over, right? But it's not a, I think what's very important is that even for someone like me who thinks about these things very deeply, and for someone like you, is that you got to make sure you do something you like. Like there's nothing more to that than that. Like if you don't like what you do, oh man, life's gonna kill you. Like I just think I just can't imagine how you could do a job 16 or 17 hours a day if you don't like it. Like it's just insane. So those are my thoughts basically.